You're not talking about. Okay, we'll call our meeting to order and begin with the superintendent's report.
Well, thank you, Skip. It's great to see all of you here tonight. Outstanding to see the whole middle school staff, not the whole staff, but thanks for all of you for coming tonight. It's great to be at the middle school. Thanks for the welcome tonight. Want to say welcome to everyone watching our live stream this evening as well. I'd like to begin tonight with a recognition. As you know, Toby Elementary has been very involved with character.org, and they were named a 2023 Honorable Mention School of Character by character.org. And if you recall, Toby has been recognized by the organization for promising practices in 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. So a big congratulations to Toby Elementary, Mr. Barwagen, the staff, and the students. We are very proud of this honor. And Mike couldn't be here tonight to talk about it, so that's why I'm talking about it.
I was looking for him.
I'm going to move on to the legislative report. Again, it's pretty quiet, but the legislature has been very busy over the past few weeks. Many committee meetings going on. You've probably heard of all the tax cut discussions and budget discussions that are going on. It's all over the news. But educationally, Senate Bill 12 passed through the full Senate last week. That bill would repeal the third grade reading retention law that has been in place for several years. Now, the meat of this bill is to just get rid of retention. And the research is clear. Retention of students is not a sound educational practice. The research, we can look at it over and over. MASA, MASB, and many other associations are in favor of these changes to the third grade reading law. So I'll certainly keep you posted. We have discussions going on in the House as we speak, so hopefully they'll make some movement on that very soon. Also in discussion, teacher evaluation laws and some others that hopefully we'll hear something on very soon. As you are aware as well, Governor Whitmer did introduce her budget proposal last week. It's very favorable for the educational community. Some of the highlights include a 5% increase to the Pupil Foundation. That's equal to $458. That would bring the foundation up to $9,608 per student. An increase of about $80 million into special education. Increases for at-risk English language learners, ISD operations, and CTE programming. One-time funding to support teacher recruitment and retention, as well as training. And then the big one, the early childhood, the pre-K for all 4-year-olds, was a huge proposed, a big part of her proposal. And then, of course, increases for student wellness and other academic supports to address learning loss that occurred during the pandemic. I'm eagerly awaiting the budget proposals from both the House and the Senate. It's going to be a little while. The finalized budget will take time, but I am very happy with this proposal from the governor. I think it's a great start, and again, it is supported by many, many educational associations. Real quick, I'd like to draw your attention to the important dates page in your packet. Tomorrow, Valentine's Day, come on out. We have the VMS VHS pre-festival choir concert in the PAC at 7 o'clock. And then Thursday, we have the VHS pre-festival band concert. So lots of opportunities to see our band and choirs in action this week. The Athletic Boosters Booster Bounce is this Saturday at Indian Run. come on out and support the boosters. And then next week we have the 4th and 5th grade Indian Lake Elementary concert. That'll be in the PAC, followed by the VMS pre-festival band concert on the 21st, and then Toby's 4th and 5th grade concert on the 22nd, which coincides with National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. Where's Karen? I saw Karen. There, yeah. So lots to celebrate, and of course everybody's going to be celebrating next Friday. That's our midwinter break, Friday the 24th. And with that, that's my report.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yep.
Okay, we'll go on to reports and public inquiry, budget and finance report. Steve?
Okay, a couple items to cover this evening. First one being the normal monthly budget progress report. And this includes activity through the end of January, or the first 7 months of the fiscal year. And taking a look at revenue, year-to-date, general fund revenue stood at $13,463,242, or just about 40.4% of the annual budget. See that we're tracking a little bit ahead of schedule compared to last year. And some of that has to do with timing on some of the local revenues and that type of thing. But all in all, revenues look like they're progressing the way we would expect at this time. On the expenditure side, total instructional expenditures, year-to-date, $8.6 million, or about 43.46%. Support services, $6,144,675, which is about 52.3%, the annual budget. And then athletics stood at $380,685, community services at $275,694. And so total expenditures on a year-to-date basis are at $15,405,455. And compared to last year on a year-to-date basis, you know, we're typically progressing pretty closely. So looking at the second page of that report, we have expenditures by object code, and you can see that salaries and benefits, $12,167,867, or about 45.43%. Purchase services stood at $1,928,260, supplies at $1,038,512, capital outlay at $218,122, and then other expenditures at $52,694. Any questions on that?
Yes, Steve, I just noticed on the income side that it is 2023 a little more typical in that the federal money is what it usually is. Our budget is bigger, but it's $1 million less. The federal money, is that all COVID money that was last year?
We still have a substantial amount of COVID money to spend, and so that federal line item, keep in mind that the federal expenditures typically are reimbursement based, and a lot of times it's difficult to request any reimbursements because we're still waiting to find final grant allocations, updating budgets, and that type of thing. But I would expect in the next I spoke with Rebecca earlier today about it, and she is working on getting some federal reimbursements in. There's still substantial money. It's not 100% clear right now how much of that we're going to spend this year versus next year. But we are still benefiting from a substantial amount of additional COVID-related funding.
Well, I just noted maybe I'm not comparing apples to apples here, because looking at the June adopted budget, you've budgeted $1 million less.
Yeah. Last year's federal was higher. And so, typically in the general fund, we might have, $300,000 to $400,000 of federal revenue.
Right.
So we're still counting on, close to $1 million of additional revenue for this year.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's closer to normal, but still a bunch more federal money than we typically
Absolutely.
have. Okay.
Yep. Other questions? Okay. Second part of the report this evening is just a quick rundown of the investment portfolio. And we currently have, beyond just the normal bank sweep arrangements with interest, we have investments in 4 of the funds, and the funds are the 2020 and the 2022 building and site funds. Those are bond proceeds. We also have investments in the debt service funds and the general fund. And so just a few quick comments. The bond proceeds, we tend to try to invest those with a little bit longer maturity to try to increase investment return. And so you see more longer-term type investments. Whereas in the general fund, we just try to invest what we can, but we know that we need significant liquidity, so we keep everything as liquid as we can, and essentially a money market fund, and then we can transfer money back when we're preparing payroll or cash disbursements or that type of thing. But that said, we've had we've seen a significant improvement in our investment income, specifically in the general fund last month, as well as the month before. We've been averaging right around $7,500 of just interest income. And, there were a lot of years where we didn't reach $7,500 for the entire year. And so, again, we're definitely benefiting from those higher interest rates. And it looks like there's probably at least one or two more, hopefully somewhat smaller rate hikes on the horizon. And then, then we'll just have to see what happens in the economy and what happens to interest rates going forward. But for now, we're taking advantage of that to the best of our ability. Any questions? Okay. If not, then that will
Thanks, Steve.
conclude my report. Thank you.
Okay, section 98B progress report. Gail?
Good evening. So tonight I am sharing with you the Section 98 B report, progress report. Just a reminder of that law, that Section 98B of Public Act 144 requires that we set educational goals in September. So we did that at our September board meeting. And then in February and June, we provide a progress report on how we're doing against those goals. It also requires that we post that report on our website, so it will be there tomorrow. So looking at the report, at the top you have the middle of the year and the end of the year reading goals and math goals for all 6 buildings. For K-8, we use the STAR data because they require actual progress data to be in the K-8 reports, and so you see STAR reading and STAR math. At the high school level, the progress reports are in a narrative format and describe how we are doing against that educational goal. I hope you know that this data is not where we want it to be, or that we know it needs to be for our students. And our commitment to our families and our students is to work collaboratively to address this data. And we recognize that we're still responding to the disruption of learning from the pandemic, and in many cases we are looking at trying to teach last year's grade level standards as well as this year's grade level standards. And so, but our commitment is to improve these scores in this performance and the learning for our students. Our district data review team met in January and analyzed all of this data, as well as attendance data and discipline data, just so that we can compare that to these student results. And then at February, each of the building levels reviewed and analyzed the data and put together response plans to address the concerns that were raised from the performance data. And our obligation is to continue doing that and to work with our families and across the district to address any of our students' needs. So with that, I'll answer any questions. Carol?
Is it typical for the math scores to be higher than the reading scores, percentage-wise?
There isn't much that's typical right now, so yes.
I was just surprised that in almost every case,
Yes.
the math
yeah.
scores were higher.
Yeah, the last few years it has been, and I think that is also just the way that we've had to teach our students. And when we're virtual, teaching reading is a much different method than
You know,
when we're in person.
We've worked so hard on reading.
Yeah.
It is a little disappointing.
Yeah, I would agree. Other questions?
Any other questions? We went too easy on you.
No. Thank you.
Thanks.
We're waiting for the end of school.
Okay, our Vicksburg Middle School annual report, Allison.
Okay, so we will use the screen behind you, so if you do want to move out to the audience, so you can see it a little better, that might be.
Where's your?
So hopefully you can all hear me okay. Can you hear me okay up front? Yeah. Okay. So thank you again for coming tonight, and thank you to all of our middle school staff tonight. Appreciate you guys being here and taking the time out tonight. Very much so. So thank you, thank you. So our goal at the middle school is to maximize the success and potential of each student and staff member. And our presentation tonight is going to be around that and how we do that here at the middle school. Oh boy. Now the clicker's not working. Oh, gotta turn it on. There we go.
So the overview of our presentation today, we're gonna start with some celebrations, some things that have been going good here at the middle school. Then we're gonna get to focusing on learning. We're gonna talk about our school-wide multi-tiered system of instructional supports. And then we're gonna get into our culture, our shared vision, our mission, values, and goals. And then we'll finish up with our results, our actions to improve those results.
So celebration. So this is a picture from October. We celebrated Halloween where we wore our M&M shirts, and almost all the staff had M&M shirts to come together. So just enjoy getting our staff collaborating again and getting together. So that's one big celebration. But here we have multiple pictures of just some different things throughout this year that we've had. A couple different pictures in there of walking the dogs. So with our Walking the Dogs fundraiser, we raised $14,670 this year for our students, and we are using some of those funds this year already for some different positive behavior rewards that we'll talk about in a little while. We were able to start our activity parties again, and we just wrapped up the 8th, 7th, and 6th grade bowling parties. A huge round of applause for Ms. Tutt and Ms. Harris. Holy moly. That is a feat in and of itself. I've never been involved with a bowling party setting it up before, and I am thankful for these ladies because it is a lot. So planning all the activity parties and everything for student council. So the kids have been having a lot of fun with those again. So again, the criteria to be able to attend those parties are students must be passing their classes, they can't be absent the day of the party, suspensions come into play, that sort of thing. So it's an incentive for them to get their work done and be here. We have our different clubs this year. We've got a lot of different clubs going. We have different field trips that we're offering to some of our students this year. We've got one coming up for Math Counts. Mr. I and Ms. Geist are taking a little handful of students to Western on Friday for the Math Counts Club. We have our theater and drama club, student council, academic support center, art club, coding club, writing club, the Math Counts, as I mentioned. Writing club, they actually took their students to Gilbert and Ivy this fall. I think I maybe put a picture up there somewhere of it, but they took a group of students to Gilbert and Ivy and learned about the writing process from the owner of the store and got a life experience there, going there and seeing the books in action. So that was fun for them to go to. We have recycling club, yearbook club, and Dungeons and Dragons is new again this year, and that's a big crowd on Wednesdays. We have ski club, and then lastly our robotics club. Robotics this year, the membership climbed to over 22 students, and they were awarded the Innovative Award at each of the qualifiers and the Design Award at the state tournament out of 72 teams. At the state tournament, that's a picture of them up there at the top, but at the state tournament, they excelled to the number 2 rank in our division, so super proud of them. Theater, we've had the Addams Family production. We had that earlier in the year. All of our sports teams are underway. Kind of mid-season, I guess, for girls basketball right now. We've got going on in wrestling. Career Quest, our 8th graders went on that earlier this year to learn about different careers that they might be interested in. We have our student leadership team that we started this year with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Students had to apply to be part of that team, and we have 4 members from each grade level that we try to meet with about once a month to talk about what's going well in the school and what would they like to see different, and we take their input back to like our building leadership teams and some of the different teams we have on staff to get that student voice. And again, just celebrating our staff. As you see tonight, I mean, a lot of staff showed up here. We just have a great staff here at the middle school, and we just have a lot of fun celebrating that with them.
So we had 5 Bardeen winners here in the middle school. We had Mrs. Spanding for some different seating options in her special education room. The English department for all 6 staff members to attend the Michigan Reading Association Conference in Grand Rapids. Mr. Duncan for medicine balls for PE class. Mr. Hinga was able to get some money for some cafeteria and lobby seating. We just got those in last week, so he's in the process of assembling them so we can get those set up for our kids. And then Mrs. Zemlick for Detroit Institute of Art and Authentic Mexican Meal Field Trip. All in all, the Bardeen totals for Vicksburg Middle School was $10,113.49.
So going back to our PLC graphic here that we've seen at each board meeting, the middle school has 3 main focus that we've been working on this year. So under the focus on learning, we've been looking at the school-wide multi-tiered systems of instructions and supports. Under building a collaborative culture and collective responsibility, we've been really working on that shared vision, mission, values, and goals. And establishing a results orientation, we've really been looking at that action to improve results.
So for the focus on learning, it's our school-wide multi-tiered system of instructional support. Listed on the bottom of the slide, you're going to see 2 of our school's collective commitments. Those things are, I will build relationships with my students in order to provide a safe place for them to learn, grow, and make mistakes. And I will seek out the most promising practices to support student learning while honoring the whole child. We came up with those collective commitments in first our building leadership team meeting, and then we took those to the whole staff and we voted on them as a whole staff, and these are 2 of those that we have come up with. Pictured there is what we call our calm down space. This is for when we have kids who are just having a rough day, and the goal is to keep the kids in class. So if they need to step out for a few minutes just to take a break, this room is in the front office. And before this year, it was just a plain white walls. Maybe a desk was in there and a table. So our ladies up front, they repainted it. Cody Post painted that picture on the back wall there.
So it's good vibes.
Good vibes. And we have some things posted on the wall, our mood meters and things like that. So here at Vicksburg Middle School, we like to focus on the whole child with our multi-tiered system. And these are 4 areas we provide the tier support. So the first area we have is our PBIS team. I'll go a little bit more over this in a couple of slides, but I would like to draw your attention to the bottom left corner where we have what we call our fidget boxes.
Vanna White.
Yes. Each one of our classroom teachers got one of these fidget boxes just to help provide these for the kids if they're having a hard time focusing or they just need something to kind of refocus their energy onto the learning. This way, another tool we can use to keep the kids in class. The next we have is our areas, the trauma-informed instruction. There's some areas there that one thing we do, we have 31 end counselors that come into the school and meet with some of our kids that need some more of that more intensive support. Next we have our SEL, social and emotional learning. There's some things in there that we do. And then after that, we have our restorative practices. And restorative practices, we do have Mr. Hinga, who we went to training in, I think it was November, on how to do those. And we also have Mrs. Curtis, who helps us with those restorative practices as well, too. PBIS team. So this PBIS team was on a total volunteer basis, and these are the members that we have. The nice thing about this is this team consists of teachers, paras, counselors, behavior specialists, psychologists, and administrators. So we have a wide variety, a wide spectrum of members on this team. And we also have, not including myself, 3 new staff members that volunteered for this. Michelle Wissinghouse, Matt Brussy, and who was the other new one I'm missing? What's that? Patty Veter. Patty Veter, thank you. So we have a nice variety of people that joined this team, and we even had some of our new staff members. So here's our PBIS matrix. So we met as a PBIS team. We identified the areas we think we needed to focus on and the behaviors we wanted to have. And we say at Vicksburg Middle School, we like to be responsible, safe, and supportive. So we put this together as a PBIS team, and then we took to our student leadership team and pushed it out to staff and took input on it. And these are the behaviors that we came up with. So every time we leave for a break and we come back from a break, we run like a 2-hour delay schedule, and we reteach these behaviors to the kids. So we did this the first day back in January. They went to each separate area. We had one person teaching these skills, these behaviors to them, so that way they get a refresher every time they're gone for a while. And we will do this again when they get back from spring break. And we also reinforce those behaviors in our morning announcements as well, too. So here's one of our next steps for our PBIS planning is we're going to have staff bulldog behaviors. So we talk about what we want the kids to be doing in these specific areas, but we also want to talk about what we would like staff to be doing in these behaviors too. So we're going to be meeting on these in the coming months, and then we'll start pushing these out to staff as well. We will also begin rolling out our reward system for PBIS when we return from spring break. So one of these boxes is going to be placed in the library for each grade level, and each staff member is going to be given one of these things as positive tickets. So if you see a student doing something good behavior-wise, like they're keeping to the right and they're going quickly in the hallway, we'll hand them this ticket, we'll write their name on it, and check what behavior they did. And then we'll put these tickets into their bin. At the end of each week, we'll draw a student from each grade level for a prize. Then at the end of the month, the grade that had the most tickets will get a grade level prize that will be done during tutorial time. And then we are also in the works of trying to plan some things we could also do to celebrate our staff members with the PBIS rewards as well too. So something along the lines is as soon as they empty one of these, they write their name on it, they'll bring it to the office, and we'll draw something at something and do something for the staff members as well too. Social emotional strategies at the middle school. So these 3 things are posted outside every teacher's classroom, and they're also posted in that calming space that you saw up in the front office. So these are what we use for when our kids need to take breaks. Sometimes kids just need 5 minutes to step out, regroup. So these are all posted. You have a mood meter. Sorry, my eyes can't see the paper. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 drowning experience. And then some behaviors to look for when you're in these mood areas. This just kind of helps get the kids back to focusing on learning, okay? The goal is to keep them in class as much as possible. It's much better to have a kid step out for 5 minutes or then have their behaviors escalate and have to have them sent to the office. So if they go out for 5 minutes, they check back in with the teachers. If they're still not there yet, that's when they're going to come use that calm down space, and we might extend that time to 10 minutes. And then at that time, either myself, Allison, Mr. Hanger, or Ms. Curtis will check in with that too before we get it back into school. The goal is to keep them in class as much and as long as possible.
So one thing that we've also implemented this year, we have community circle time that's been built into the schedule for a couple years, but we have 15 minutes every day that we have time to talk to the students. As a building, we wanted something consistent and cohesive so everybody spoke the same language. The Positivity Project is a project that I did a little bit of research on, brought back to some of our teams. They're like, we would like to try this if we can. So I wrote a proposal to the Positivity Project, and they allowed us to use it for free. And we got it approved through our DCILT process. And so staff has been using it now since, I want to say October. Has it been since October we started it? So the program is really good, but I just have a 2-minute video clip for you to watch that will explain it better.
Put down your pens and pencils for a second. Take a look inside yourself. That heart of yours is a chalkboard. And it's beating with a beautiful lesson. One that you can teach yourself and share with others. It won't always be easy. At times, you will be tested. At times, you'll have to start all over again. Things might get a little messy. When life shakes things up. And that's okay. You got this. You don't need to be afraid. To lend a helping hand. Pass on something special. And rise to the occasion. If you trust yourself, you'll know when to take a step forward. And when to hold back. When to move quickly. And when to take your time. You'll build your house brick by brick. And invite the world inside to celebrate the colors of your soul. So show us your bravery, your kindness. Exercise your humility and practice self-control. Embrace your integrity. Dive deep into your love of learning. Create. Persevere. This is only the beginning. There's a long way to go, but you will succeed. Of this, I'm positive.
So with the Positivity Project, like I was stating, it's 15 minutes a day just to develop a more common vocabulary of self-aware, empathetic students. A couple weeks ago, it was kind of funny. I was sitting at dinner and my son Lincoln's in 8th grade and he just comes out of the blue. He goes, so what's the word next week? I'm like, what are you talking about? What's the word? He's like, you know, that thing that we do in like community circle time? I'm like, oh, I said next week is forgiveness. He's like, oh, okay. And there's morning scripts that I read every day, and then there's a letter, parent letter that goes home, and he goes, well, do you write those things every morning that you say? I was like, no. I was like, he's like, is it from the Positivity Project? I go, yeah. He goes, oh, you know, some of that stuff is pretty cool that we do. So I thought that was a pretty cool story that my own kid just kind of brought that up out of the blue. So the students are responding to it. They do see how a lot of this applies to them, especially a couple weeks ago, like I said, with the forgiveness one. It was very applicable to a lot of things that were going on with some of them in their lives. So it's been a really cool project that we have gotten started. Let's see if I can put this. Oh, there we go. All right, so the next piece we're going to start talking about is our culture, which is that shared vision, mission, and values. And as you can see at the bottom, we do have some more of those collective commitments. So again, our staff committed to be collaborative with each other across curricular areas, grade levels, for the benefit of all students. They would be contributing members of their team and model positive behavior, acceptance, and respect to all staff and students, and modeling enthusiasm for lifelong learning and celebrating the power of pursuing knowledge. So this year, like we said earlier, we've been really focusing on that shared mission, vision, and goals, and really important on getting clear about expectations. Like Joe mentioned earlier with the PBIS system we have, we're also talking about staff behavior, so everybody knows the expectations, and so no one's kind of wondering what's next, how should this look. So it's really developing that language. We're all speaking the same. So here we've got a couple of things that we are doing to drive that culture. So John Gordon is one of my favorite authors, One of his quotes is, "Culture drives behavior, behavior drives habits, and habits create the future." And something that we have been working on really hard this year is building habits that are going to lead us to the maximizing that mission that we have of maximizing the success and potential of our students and staff. So a few of these examples we have on here. One of them is the PLCs. So those are 2 times a month during our teachers' planning period. That's the time that they chose, where they have committed to each other that they will meet to work through whatever it is that they need, looking at student data. We have our data protocol that they will be working on 4 times a year, going through student formative assessments and talking about next steps. We have our student intervention team meetings monthly, where if we have a student that might need extra assistance behaviorally or academically, teachers can refer a student to the team, and then we have the group and we come down, sit down after school, and we talk about what next steps would be for that student. Last year, right as I got started, I wrote a Bardeen grant myself to get the Energy Bus book for all of our staff members. And then we did it as a book study this year, kind of as an optional book study. But it was really cool to hear the conversations between staff about the things that they were reading in that. So if you don't know, so the Energy Bus and kind of the 10 rules that we live by are these. So it's 10 rules for the ride of your life. So number 1 is you're the driver of your bus. Number 2, desire, vision, and focus move your bus in the right direction. Number 3 is fuel your ride with positive energy. Number 4 is invite people on your bus and share your vision for the road ahead. Number 5 is don't waste your energy on those who don't get on the bus. Number 6, post a sign that says no energy vampires allowed on your bus. And we do have those signs spread out throughout our building. And we all kind of laugh about it, but we like them. Number 7 is enthusiasm attracts more passengers and energizes them during the ride. Number 8 is love your passengers. Number 9 is drive with purpose. And number 10 is have fun and enjoy the ride. So we talk about that a lot too as a staff. We've got to have fun. Positivity bus. There was a picture earlier of Ms. Zemlick holding a bus, so that's something we've started as well, where staff nominate a staff member each week, write a little blurb about why that person deserves the positivity bus, and they pass it along with a picture. So we have a little bus that goes around to each staff member each week. And then again, we've got that positivity project, which develops that common language for our whole building. So one of the things we talked about was we've got to have a little bit of fun in maintaining and building that culture. So one of our things that we've talked a lot about is maintaining a sense of humor to find the joy in our profession. This was just an activity that we did when we came back from Christmas vacation. And it was, staff members had to write their name on a balloon, and I played some music, and they passed it around, and when I stopped the music, they had to write something about that staff member. But just, it's kind of a short clip, but just listen to the sound. So that's just a testament to them this year. I mean, we try to laugh whenever we get together and have fun. It got a little out of hand at times where we were a little, I wouldn't say violent, but balloons were getting, hit quite hard. But as you see, we had a lot of fun. Just, that's the thing. We've got to have fun together as a staff so we can build that culture so our students can see that in us as well. So that's just one of the things that we've been really trying to work on. So all of those things lead to results and that action to improve. And this picture is during one of our PLCs where we were writing ideas down on chart paper and staff kind of roaming around and looking and choosing different activities. Again, on this, some of our collective commitments that go with this piece of our PLC process is that we will monitor each student's learning on an ongoing basis through classroom and team-developed formative assessments, and that we will use evidence of student learning to inform and improve our practice to better meet the needs of individual students. So all of these things lead to those results. We've been fortunate enough, we've had 2 so far this year of our PLC days, and each PLC day we walk away with an action plan. So each time we have a PLC, we come up with a plan. All right, what are we going to do next week, next month, next year? So these are just a couple examples from the 2 different half days that we have had that we have walked away with. At our last one, we celebrated a lot because we completed a lot of the next week and next month things that we had talked about that we wanted to do. So just, for example, a couple of the things that we talked about was we wanted to increase those reading scores that we kind of spoke about earlier. So one thing we all committed to was talking about reading and math positively, encourage reading practice. We have Dear Days, so the drop everything and read during tutorial time. So we have the students, they can use that community circle time for homework and to get extra help for the 15 minutes, but then the rest of it is students reading. And then when we go into that next month planning, the Dear Day each week. So one day a week, we designate the 20 minutes to you're just going to read. That's it. And since then, in the beginning, it was a little bit of a struggle because I don't have a book or I don't want to read. Well, we've made sure there's books available for all teachers to grab so students don't have that. And we hear a lot less of, oh, I don't want to read, I don't want this, I don't want that. They're really starting to get into it, especially with staff talking about their own reading and things. So again, each time we come up, every time we have that, those meetings and other meetings, this is kind of our plan. We come up with these 3 things. Something we can do next week, next month as a staff, and what we need to think about for next year.
So this one here, I'm really proud of. This is our discipline data for first and second market period from this year compared to last year. And this is also a testament to the great staff that we have. As you see, we have our suspensions in blue, our ASBP, which is our after-school behavior plan, which is a two-hour detention, and then our Saturday schools. So our first marking period, we reduced our suspensions by 55%. And then we reduced our ASBPs by 68% and our Saturday schools by 67%. And then in the second market period, we still reduced. We reduced suspensions by 41%, ASBPs by 9%, and our Saturday schools by 78%. The fact that we're seeing the suspension go down is what really makes us happy, because the best way for the kids to learn is for them to be in class. So less time out of class, more time in front of these great teachers will really help drive those scores up for us in the long run.
Gil brought up a little bit ago about the 98B, and these were the middle school's interim goals. So for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students in reading, we started at 39% proficiency, and we wanted to be 42% proficient by January 2023. We met that goal, and we are at 43.3%. Math, we wanted to increase from 55% to 58% by January, and we are actually at 59%. So again, it's a testament to our staff. We've got that vision and mission. We know where we're headed. We're working collaboratively together to do what's best for kids, and we're starting to see that improvement.
So continuing to look at data, we're going to look at how we performed on our state testing compared to schools by distance. You'll see some schools there you recognize Plainwell, both the Portage Middle Schools, I believe Edwardsburg is up there, Sturgis, Three Rivers. So if we go to the next slide, we can see that we are performing quite a bit better than schools by distance. We were at 47%, and the average of similar schools was at 31%, and then the state average was at 37%. This is across all subjects combined. We're not quite where we want to be at, but we are trending in the right direction.
And then again, the schools by student characteristics. So again, these are schools that are like us. And again, we have some Portage, Plainwell, Otsego, a couple of the other schools near us. We are still ahead of them. Again, not 100% where we want to be, but we are progressing. So you can see that's 2020, 2021, and then it's 2020, 21, and then 21, 22 data is the data that we have there. But Vicksburg is the green, and we are at, for all subjects, 47% proficient. The similar schools are at 46, and the state is at 37. And the year prior, it was 44, 43, 37. So we increased at least by 3% last year, and really looking forward to seeing those scores increase even more this year. And that is all we have. So what questions do you have for us?
I asked one, when I think, Joe, you're talking about these suspensions, is that from comparing it to the previous school year?
Yes.
Okay, yep, that was just clarification for myself. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, I have an 8th grader. I'm a little sad, no offense to Mr. Brush, that she's getting ready to go to high school, because I have enjoyed, especially all of my kids in Conquest Middle School, and the teachers are amazing, what you have done. I appreciate all the times that you've gone above and beyond for our kids. leadership that we have now, I'm just so thankful that you're here and you're taking these wonderful teachers and giving them so much more. So thank you for your presentation and thank you for everything.
Thank you. Kudos to these people.
Yes, and to you too. These two are amazing. Yep. We love them.
We love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? We're going too easy on it.
Yes.
Skip, if you don't mind, if I can make a comment. Way to go, number one. If it's a fun place to be, you do better. And I think for both students and teachers, if you look forward to coming to work, you do better. So thank you very much for that. The other thing I wanted to point out, I want to give a shout out to Carol here, is that $10,000 went to the middle school from the Vicksburg Schools Foundation. That foundation, Carol was one of the founding members of that. And when did the Schools Foundation start, Carol? In like mid-'80s, late '80s?
84, 83.
Yeah, and they started with zero. So here we are, 40 years later, and in one school you get 10 grand. That's pretty impressive. And these things don't happen overnight. That took a long time. Dr. Appel was involved in starting that, I know.
Warren Lawrence.
Warren Lawrence. So people that had a very long vision, and you're benefiting from that. And there's curiosity grants that are given out for students too, if they've got good ideas. So there's a lot of resources available because of people thinking far ahead, like Carol, to set that up. And a lot of you are new teachers would not be aware of that.
Well, and we had a lot of Bardeen grant requests this year, and all the schools got something. So it's pretty exciting to think a school district our size can have a foundation that produces. But we have the Vicksburg Foundation that helps us a lot too, so we're blessed for sure.
And I think it was the first school foundation formed in the state of Michigan.
So if you have good ideas, there are people that will give you money. that are happy to give you money. So if you
Well-
have good ideas, develop them.
The other thing that happened this year is that we got we had the teachers present their requests early in the year so that we could get whatever they wanted and needed to be able to use for this whole year. Before we did it in like March, and then some of the things couldn't be purchased or whatever in time to use in the school year. So I'm thrilled that we can do that.
I also wanted to give a big shout out, sorry, to Cody Post. She helped put all of this together and helped with the desserts and created all of that goodness for us. So she set all of this up for us today too. So
Tell her we said thank you. All right. Do we have anybody in the audience that wishes to address the board on a non-agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to board action required. First is the approval of January 16th, 2023 regular board meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Moved by Tina,
Support.
supported by Stephanie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of general fund invoices totaling $333,443.10. I'm glad we didn't forget that dime.
Move approval.
Moved by Dave. Support. Supported by Dan. Discussion. Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jen?
Yep.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes?
And yes, motion carries. Approval of purchase card disbursements for December 2022 totaling $164,293.75.
So move.
Moved by Carol, supported by Tina. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Approval of Series 2, Release 4A High School and Middle School Asbestos Abatement Bid Award to Midwest Environmental in the amount of $137,700.
So move.
Moved by Jennifer,
Jennifer. Yep. Support.
Supported by Carol. Discussion?
Is the purpose of this because they're gonna have to rip things up to do some other improvements, and we gotta take care of that while we do that?
Yes.
Is that,
Yep,
okay.
yep. Yep, that's
So it's
exactly
not
right.
like we have an exposure issue or a
No.
safety issue now?
But,
Right.
no, but it exists in the buildings, it exists in not just Vicksburg school buildings, but buildings all across the land. And we, every time we're doing renovations in a particular area, we test and, we've got a documentation of where we understand all asbestos-containing materials are, but we test everything as we go, and then we abate it. Yep.
People don't realize something as simple as the flooring tile.
Right.
Has got an asbestos.
Yeah, that's the most common,
Yeah.
really,
A lot
for
of,
us.
a lot of
Yep.
insulation products too, I remember we used to go through.
Yeah, some of the pipe insulation, that type of thing, but a lot of that has been
Remediation.
addressed over the years. Now, we still have some, certainly, but, floor tiles are, tend to be kind of like the most common for us.
Well, and they're okay until they're disturbed.
Right, yeah,
Basically.
yep. Yep, that's exactly right, yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Item E, approval of school nutrition services bid award to Stafford Smith in the amount of $27,389.46 for a steamer at Sunset Lake.
Move approval.
Moved by Tina,
Support.
supported by Stephanie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, approval of Vicksburg High School band field trip to Disney World on March 22nd to 29, 2023. All expenses to be paid by the students.
Move approval.
I'll support.
Yeah.
Jeez, do we get to go?
It sounds very,
Wow, busy.
busy.
Wow.
They are, when they go on those trips, they are.
Yeah.
They
well,
are busy.
Wow.
They like drive overnight.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, I'd be exhausted.
with
I'm,
buses.
I'm curious, for our high school staff, how can you help students so that the participation is as high as you'd like it to be? Because there's a fair chunk of change here they gotta come up with, so how do you help with that?
I know that.
So band boosters,
Hopkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered how many people, or how many, like what percentage would actually be attending?
Well, they said something over 100.
It's a pretty high percentage, and VBBI does have some scholarship and assistance programs that they budget and plan on whenever we got one of these going. I know that for a fact.
Was this an invitation?
An invitation?
No. I'm saying the school going to Orlando, was it by invitation?
They get invitations throughout the year to various events, like when we went down to, what was it, the Sugar Bowl a couple, 3 years ago, and, different parades and stuff like that, and then Ben kind of takes a look and sees what fits what he wants to do.
Because it's a nice honor. I mean,
They're playing at Disney, but I don't know the agenda yet. Do you know that, Adam?
It was all in,
Okay.
it's in the
Yeah.
letter.
It's on there.
Perfect.
The other thing that they do that is really neat is they do some kind of a community service project while they're down there.
In their spare time. They've got so
I
much of
chaperoned
that.
one year. However, we drove our van down. I didn't go in the bus. And so the other chaperones could
Do we have a motion?
trade and get in the van with us periodically. But it was very well organized and a great experience for the kids.
Oh, okay. Okay. Any other discussion?
was it taking place?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of Vicksburg Middle School 8th grade field trip to Cedar Point on June 12th.
Move approval.
Moved by Tina,
Support.
supported by Stephanie. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, second reading approval of Vicksburg Community Schools Policy 6700.
So moved.
Moved by Carol,
Support.
supported by Tina. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. And on that, we'll stand adjourned, and I want to thank you all for being here.
Great, yes, thank you.
It's almost like, I'd be terrible like Jeopardy, 'cause I missed